Yeah, Lesley, you are a registered psychotherapist.
Mhm.
That is your title. And how long since you've been on RX, which I remember the first episode you were on, and you literally gave your number out for people to reach out to you, and I
Mhm.
did. And that's kind of how this came about. Um, has your clientele grown since being on RX?
It's grown, but not as much as you would think. And a lot of that is still there's this stigma that if you speak to someone, there's something wrong with you. And what I want to, for anyone who's listening, if you're afraid to reach out, now granted, not everyone's the same as far as whether it be qualifications or you have to have the right rapport, like a coach. You could have
Right.
someone who's very knowledgeable as a coach, but they don't know how to coach other people. They might be able to coach themselves. So it's about finding the right person for sure. But that, what will other people think? Well, first of all, it's confidential. No one else has to know. One, but and there's also this kind of the, well, doesn't this mean I'm a weak person if I can't figure things out on my own? Think about other things other than therapy. Like for me, I can drive a car, but I'm not a mechanic. So it's, there's nothing seriously wrong with me if I say, hey, this isn't my forte. If something is rattling in my engine, it's kind of like I
Yeah.
take it to an expert. And when people come to see me, I know I'm doing my job if they don't have to see me for a long period of time, as long as they're doing their part. Because what I do is I do a deep dive as far as, the issues, when they started, what's contributing to them continuing, what strategies can we put into place to overcome those problems so that they end up not seeing me. So in a way, it's kind of good that I don't have a long retention rate with my clients because they do so well. But there's again that stigma, oh, there's something wrong with me. Well, guys, everyone's got issues. Everyone's got issues. There might be different issues, but everyone's got issues. And it's sometimes really nice to talk to someone who will have your undivided attention and who will not be biased. Because when we go to our friends and family, they might mean really well, but they don't have the training and they're not gonna be objective. When you go to someone like myself, I'm objective and I'm trained, then you're on the right path. So it's hard to open up to a stranger. I totally get that. But like I tell all my people who are just considering, I said, try one session. Then you'll know by the end of the session, do you want to continue or not? And if you don't, that's okay. You have to find the right fit for you. So, I
Right.
want people to understand that, it's everyone's got issues. It's a matter of if you're stuck. I mean, by all means, try to find out a system that works for you if you can try to solve it. But if you're not able to resolve it, more time may not help because if you're not employing new strategies, that's not going to change the situation.
Right.
So it's trying to say you might need another opinion and ideas to be able to overcome those hurdles. And that's where I come in.
Yeah, I'll say every time I've talked to you, even on an episode, I always feel better afterwards. And Dave has said that too. Dave Palumbo, for you guys that don't know, Dave Palumbo of RX Muscle. So it definitely helps. I mean, it's something that it scares me to commit to therapy, but I thought, yeah, we could all use it. And um, the fact that you're a bodybuilder and you're on RX, and I've never met you personally, but I feel like I know you quite personally because we've talked so much. But yeah, it's definitely something that people can benefit from. Absolutely. Just talking about, there's people that would talk to you that didn't even know that it would help them if they talk to someone like Jimmy probably never thought about talking to you, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
Dave. And then they
Yeah.
did, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this is absolutely, I know there's stuff that I could personally talk with you about that would probably make my help my life better. And I think I'm pretty doing pretty well in terms of I'm pretty level headed and I could still, I
Mhm.
think, use it. So for anyone out there that's on my podcast, certainly reach out to Lesley. She has her own YouTube. She's on RX every week, and she has an Instagram, and I can you can plug that eventually. But yeah, absolutely, reach out to Lesley. Event it. eventually, if you are interested in talking, because I can personally say that it definitely helped me. But um, Lesley, have you always, so how long have you been a psychotherapist?
I started my private practice back in 2000, but I was
Oh,
doing
wow.
therapy, let's say, through hospitals, through, I was in palliative care units. Palliative care is where people are sent basically when they're dying. So I worked with, most of them were the patients, but I did work with some of the family members. But I worked for employee assistance programs, so people through their, so EAP just means employee assistance program. So that what that means is that sometimes companies will have an EAP where if an employee is struggling for whatever reason and they're not, that's affecting their productivity, they want that to provide some type of support. So they'll, they'll pay for short term, a few sessions. So I did that for a number of years. So I worked in various units and different kinds of things as far as doing the psychotherapy piece, but my private practice started in 2000. So I've been doing this for this therapy thing for almost 30 years. So
Wow.
I've seen quite a few things, shall we say?
Absolutely. And the thing that you just mentioned, is that like Canadian? Is that a Canadian thing?
Which is the Canadian thing?
Yeah, is that you did you do that in Canada? What you just
Oh yeah,
mentioned?
all of it's been in Canada. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. Because I don't
Mhm.
think I've heard of that specific thing that you just mentioned. You know what I mean?
Oh, the palliative care.
Yeah, is that
Oh, okay. So yeah, they will. I assume that they would have that in the US, but I never checked that out. But yeah, so it's basically, let's say people who have been diagnosed with certain conditions, let's say cancer, and despite having radiation or whatever, they've only been given, whether they, and they don't know an exact amount, but they said they have anywhere between, let's say, 2 weeks and, 8 months or something like that. That then they'll have a place to make them comfortable where they can get that monitoring. So if their blood pressure drops or something, at least there's a medical staff present versus being at home.
right?
And seconds can make a big difference as far as life and death, as well as they'll be in pain. A lot of times they'll be depending on their medical condition, they'll be in pain. So they might need to be hooked up to some type of IV that will help manage that pain for them. So there's different reasons why they would be in palliative care when they're about to die, or when they have a diagnosis where they will die. So yeah, we have that a lot in Canada, but I don't know. I never researched if they had that in the US.
I'm sure they have something similar. I don't know if it's that name, but yeah, I was just curious because for those of you who don't know, you're based in Canada. You
Mhm.
were in Vegas. You were at
Yes.
Dragon's Lair, and
Yep.
now you're back in Canada. Uh, so because I didn't even know that you've been doing therapy that long. That's awesome.